this is a very tricky question. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Julie, and today we are going to talk about 4 interview questions that you need to be prepared to answer when you walk into any interview for a job, an internship, for a school, or for anything that you want to get into. These are 4 questions that you need to be prepared to answer in a very thoughtful way. So if you guys do like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Okay, so you may or may not know that I have a 9-to-5 job. If you know me from Instagram, then you know that I'm all about fitness, but I do have a full-time job. I went to USC for my bachelor's degree in business administration with a minor in psychology. I currently work in corporate aerospace, doing HR operations, and prior to that I worked for a consulting company. I also worked for Disney, and I was accepted to a few business schools for my MBA. I was accepted to USC, to Dartmouth, and to Michigan Ross. I decided not to go because I wanted to pursue my passions for fitness, self-development, and create something of my own. But I may go to business school again sometime down the road. Ever since I was in college, and actually even before college, I've always loved self-development. I've always loved self-improvement, and I think that's kind of why I love fitness so much, is because it's all about self-improvement. It's all about making yourself better than you were the day before. And since corporate life is such a huge part of my life, and I'm actually really passionate about career development, I thought I would make this video for you guys. So without further ado, let's dive right into those 4 questions. Number 1. Tell me a little bit about yourself. It seems like a very casual question, but it's actually a very strategic one. They're asking this question to see, number 1, how succinctly can you summarize your accomplishments and what you've done prior to where you are right now? What are your goals? And can you communicate all of this in a clear way? So they're not asking you for your life story and for you to detail out every single thing that has happened to you, but they want you to highlight the most important parts. They want to see if you can summarize and pick out the most significant aspects of your career, of your life, to tie into why you are applying for this position or for this school or for this job. I would say try to keep it 1 to 2 minutes. Some people tend to ramble, and that's a huge ding for them, because then it shows that they cannot really come to their point in a very clear or concise manner. You want to show how everything kind of connects to the whole reason that you're here today, and maybe emphasize some of your strengths or some of your biggest skill sets. Number 2, why did you choose to apply to this? Whether it's a school, a job, an internship, what have you, they're gonna ask you, and they're genuinely curious about this. So make sure that you think about it before you walk into that interview room. They're gonna ask you this and expect you to provide a very compelling reason that you wanna, let's just say job for all of the examples. They're gonna ask you why you want this job, and here they wanna see, number 1, if you're truly committed to this job, number 2, if you truly have an interest in it, and number 3, if you would fit into their culture. A lot of people apply for jobs just so that they can apply for jobs, just so that they can have more names to add to their list, and therefore they feel safer because they have more options. But they want to weed out those people that are applying just to apply. They want to see if you really know the culture of the company that you're going to be working for. They want to know if you fit and align with those values, that culture, the people that already are there, because they want to make sure that anybody that they bring in is going to mesh well with the team, and they're gonna be a good fit and a good value add. They don't want to bring someone in who would completely derail culture that doesn't really vibe with everybody else, because they want to make sure that their existing team is happy. So it's a win-win for everybody if you come in happy and then everybody else likes you, right? They want to make sure that you're jiving and that you're going to enjoy your time there and that other people will enjoy your presence there too, because they think of the company as a whole. It's not just you, it's also the team and then the company as a whole. So make sure you really, and this is a great opportunity for you to think about too, if you really do want to apply for this job. Do you think that it would be a good fit for you? Would you enjoy yourself? Would you develop? And are there areas that you are so excited about? Like, for example, maybe the company has an annual day for everyone to volunteer together as a team, and you want to give back to your community. So that's something that you really look forward to in that job, and that's why you applied. So that indicates that you're truly excited about the job and that you're going to do well, and you're going to, not only are you going to enjoy yourself, but because you're enjoying yourself, you're going to give it your best. A third question that they are going to ask you is, what are some of your strengths and weaknesses? Like a trick question, basically, and you have to handle this in a very delicate way. You want to make sure that you're being honest. If you watch The Office, you'll know that Michael Scott, when he was asked what are his weaknesses, he said that he works too hard, he cares too much. I was like dying of laughter when he said that. But yeah, you want to make sure that you're coming off as genuine and that the weaknesses that you state here are true weaknesses. But instead of weaknesses, think of areas of opportunity. You don't want to bring up any red flags, right? So you don't want to say that you throw temper tantrums or that you have like an anger issue and you physically pound the wall when you're frustrated. You don't want to bring up anything that's gonna raise any red flags. Ryan! Where was I? You don't want to raise any red flags. Okay. So when you're identifying your strengths, you want to talk about ways that you could contribute to the company, knowing what you do about their culture and about the product or the service and the role you're going to do. You want to highlight your strengths that would play really well into your role at the company. So for example, if I were applying for a retail position, then the strengths that I would highlight are really, really good at building and maintaining relationships, because that's going to be a key part of being successful as a customer service rep. I would also highlight good communication skills, both verbal and written, that I am very effective at communicating, that I'm good at handling difficult conversations, and that I am able to, number 3, that I can adapt very quickly to ambiguous or challenging situations. Because as a customer service rep, you're going to be faced with situations where people might be angry, there might be frustration, there are going to be urgent questions or requests, so you're going to need to be able to maintain your composure. So you want to think about what would it take to be successful at the role that I'm doing, and then what strengths would be related to that. In terms of the weaknesses, you want to, again, be real about your weaknesses, but then you want to say, after you state each weakness, you can say, how has it been a weakness in the past? What lesson did you learn in order to realize that you had to improve upon this weakness? And what steps are you taking so that you can make these into strengths in the future? So you want to tie back how it has been a weakness in the past, what your current situation is in the present, in regards to like your perception of your weakness, and what is your future gonna look like ideally, because you're being proactive to make these weaknesses less your weaknesses and more your strengths. So I think that's always a really great way to answer the question, because it talks about, yes, you are flawed, everyone is flawed, right? So you're admitting that you're human, but then you're also showing them that you are proactive, you take initiative, and you're very self-aware about where you can improve. The final and 4th question, and this is kind of a variant of a question, because there's so many possible ways that they could phrase this. So you can practice if you'd like. But the 4th question is, tell me about a time when you ... Basically, these are situational and behavioral questions. They're going to ask you to show them anecdotes and stories of real life situations where you had to deal with a certain task or a certain difficulty and how you handled it, so that they can kind of see a vignette of how would you do as an employee for their company. And would you handle the situation in a way that they would expect somebody in your role to handle the situation? So, for example, if you were gonna be, I don't know, let's just say customer service again, then they could ask you a question like, tell me about a time when you dealt with an irrationally angry customer who would not be appeased. That's a very difficult question, right? But it's just kind of like a scenario, and it's kind of like playing pretend or playing house. You're taking on like a role. And they want to see how have you reacted in the past, and if maybe you didn't react so well, how can you improve upon that in the future? They could also ask you things like, tell me about a time when you worked in a team, tell me about a time when you had to spearhead an initiative, tell me about a time when you worked with a difficult manager, or tell me about a time when you had to come up with a creative solution to a very challenging or complex problem. So the possibilities are endless, but it really comes down to what is your understanding of the role that you're applying for, what is your understanding of the company, and what is your understanding of yourself. So all 4 of those questions that I talked about really go back to that. It really boils down to those 3 main topics of interest. And you can practice. I would highly recommend that before you do any interview, that you run through some questions with a friend, or with your family, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your dog. Just saying out loud the responses to these questions helps you to think about it in your head, and then it also helps you to practice so that you can make your response more concise and more logical. Because sometimes thinking about it is different than when it comes out. I highly recommend that you think about these 4 questions, you practice them, and then you also practice a bunch of other questions. I hope that this video was helpful. As somebody who works a 9-to-5 job, as somebody who has been in the corporate world for 4 years now, I hope that this was helpful to you. If you guys thought that this video was helpful, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Good luck on your interview. You are gonna beast it. If you want more videos like this about self-development, let me know in the comments below. You can also be friends with me on Instagram, and until next time, let's get it. Bye.